Okay, back again, trying or looking if this feed is gonna be better than the previous feed because it was lagging. I was explaining in the previous feed that I think up on the up on the bit rates or frames per minute or whatever. I'm not good at that shit, man. So I just, you know, wanted to have a better connection and stuff like that, better quality. But we just do it how we normally do it. Otherwise, Satan comes in between it. So we just keep it at this. Let me check on the laptop if it's going well. Let me see. We do what we can to push this word out, man. Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shai. I don't even see the feed here on the laptop, man. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Wow. Always, man. And hey, the Apostle Paul was talking about this, man. Let me grab that real quick. Cause this is what always happens, man. First Thessalonians. First Thessalonians 2:18. Wherefore we would have come unto you, even I, Paul, once and again, but Satan hindered us. You see, Satan hindered us, man. That's what us in this truth, preaching the word for Yahweh Shem Yahushua have to deal with constantly, man. Satan hindering. Talking about Satan hindering, man. This lesson that I'm about to do, I already did it once, but at the end of the lesson, I pressed stop to finish the lesson, and the laptop was like, "You never recorded anything." Meanwhile, the thing was right there that it showed that I was recording. So this is a video, man. It has been on my mind maybe for 2-3 years, man. To make it again. But like I just read, Satan hindered, man. Yaratazah, it's gonna be okay now. I pray Bashmi Shai allow me to bring out this truth, bring out this word. It's not gonna be long. I think it's not gonna be long. But it will be edifying. Let me see. If something's wrong with the feed, let me know, Akyam. For the brothers that are watching, gone. Seems good to me. Yeah, man. Seems good to me. Let me see. Yeah, so we're gonna start, man. So this is GmsHolland Sit Downs back with the lesson. I want to give all praises, glory, and the highest honor to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Rukakadosh. Double honors to the elder apostle, great millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect out there spreading this word of sincerity and the truth all over the four corners of the earth. I'm gonna flow through the spirit, man. You know, Daniel, the book of Daniel, is a book that basically got in my mind the first, man. The book of Daniel and the book of Revelation. You know, so I'm a flow through it. You know, and I believe Yahweh Bashem Yahushua is gonna help me with it. Um, 2 years ago, there came a guy to the camp, Swedish guy, and he wanted to debunk the Bible. He said there are no biblical facts, you know, which we believe in the Bible through faith. We believe in the Bible through faith, and this thing is the thing about faith, man. It's about faith. It's not about facts. If you're waiting to see proof, you're too late, man. If you're waiting to see proof, man, you're gonna headbutt a missile, man. That's your lot, then. If you're waiting to see proof, you know. Hey, Tawada Akyam, yeah, man. Hey, good, Tawada. Yeah, man. Shalom Akyam to the brothers that are tuning in, you know. So, like I was saying, if you're waiting to see proof, man, you're gonna headbutt a nuclear missile, man. You know, in the world they have a saying which is seeing is believing. If seeing is believing, man, you're gonna headbutt that fucking missile, man. You're gonna be in league with the famine. You're gonna be in league with the famine, man. You're gonna be a musician, man. You know, you're gonna be able to make music with your ribs. You know, you're gonna starve to death, man. Spiritually, you know, but also physically, man. For the times that are coming. Because why? Let me start off with a couple of scriptures before I go into, you know, the title of the video. This is Isaiah chapter 33 verse 6. And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation. The fear of Yahweh is his treasure. So to accept this truth is to have stability in the times to come, man. But if you be like, yeah, I don't take this as truth because I want to see first, then hey, that statement of yours is gonna end up in a lot of pain, man. Because basically you Daniel, or you taking the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai void, man. This is Hosea chapter 4 verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. You see, our people is rejecting the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, man. They are rejecting the ways of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. The prophets that are speaking unto them in the highways and byways, they are rejecting that. They're looking for facts. They want to see before they believe. But that's not how it works with Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, man. This truth is about faith. You know, so my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no priest to me. Seeing thou hast forgotten the law of Yahweh, I will also forget thy children. And if you go into the word forgot or forgotten over there, the Hebrew word there is shakach. And shakach means cease to care. And what have they ceased to care? The words of the prophets, man, which are the words of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. You know, this is Habakkuk chapter 1 verse 5. Behold, ye among the heathen, and regard and wonder marvelously. For I will work a work in your days, which ye will not believe, though it be told you. You see, so the men of the Lord are telling the people, the man of the Lord are telling the people what's happening, man, what's going on, you know, what's coming, that they have to prepare, you know, that they have to get right in the sight of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. But the people don't want to hear, you know. They be like, yeah, I remember this one guy, he told me like, you living your life like this, hoping for these things that you know to be true. But what if it's not? Then you have thrown away your whole life believing in a lie. I told them like, listen, man, that's the faith that I walk in, man. I believe it's not a lie. I believe this is the truth. This is the faith. You gotta walk in, and if you want to take that gamble, if you want to take that gamble, hoping it's not true, because you know that if it's true, you're gonna be in trouble. If you want to take that gamble, man, go ahead, man. Goat ahead. Like the brother from the camp always says, man, goat ahead. Goat, because you being like Satan, man. If you have a mind state like that, goat ahead, man. Let Satan deal with you. Because it's a satanic thought, man, to think like that. This is Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 19. Because they have not hearkened to my words, said Yahweh, which I sent unto them by my servants the prophets, rising up early and sending them, but ye would not hear, said Yahweh. So I know this went over your head, because it went over my head in the first time. But look good what it says, man. Jeremiah 29 verse 19, because they have not hearkened to my words. This is the word of Yahweh. He says, because they have not hearkened to my words, said Yahweh, which I sent unto them by my servants the prophets. You see, so when the servants of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, the prophets, is speaking out there in the highways and byways, bidding people to the marriage, telling the people that they need to repent, it's really the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, man. It's really the Most High speaking. And if you despising those words, if you are neglecting those words, you are neglecting the Heavenly Father, man. The Heavenly Father that brought us out of Egypt, that delivered us, that gave us all this talent, that gave us all these skills, that gave us all this knowledge. Even if we don't have the wisdom, knowledge, or understanding of Yahweh, we are still greater than these people, man. Went into slavery forth and backwards, man. Whatever, doing backflips and shit, man. We still far exceed above these heathens, man, with our ways, But we are destroyed, and our people don't want to listen. This is Luke chapter 10 verse 16. He that heareth you heareth me, and he that despiseth you despiseth me, and he that despiseth me despiseth him that sent me. And the 70, so that's the point, man. If you are despising the words of the Most High, his men, then you really despising the Most High himself, man. Plus you are despising the one that the Most High has sent, which is his son, Yahweh Shai. So for these people, man, that want to see facts, no facts, seeing is believing, that type of spirit, man. Those people are gonna have those people are gonna have a big problem, man. I'm telling you, those people are gonna have a big problem, But for the edification and for brothers to cut people up like that, man, I do this video, because when someone pulls up with a question like that, because we walk in the faith, we don't look for biblical facts. We don't look for proof. Through the Spirit, we feel that this is the truth, man. Through the Spirit, we feel this is the truth. Because we all had this, man. We all had this. The scriptures speak about it, man. And I didn't know the scripture, of course, when this thing happened to me. But afterwards, when I read this for the first time, I was like, whoa. The scripture actually explains what happens if you were supposed to get this truth, or if you are supposed to get this truth. The scriptures just explains you how you feel, what happens, So this is a beautiful scripture, man. This is Isaiah chapter 30, verse 21. And thine ear shall hear a word. And thine ear shall hear a word behind thee, saying, this is the way, walk ye in it. When ye turn to the right hand, and when ye turn to the left. So basically, the first time you hear this truth, and you be like, whoa. And basically, something in your spirit tells you, walk in this way, man. This is the truth. This is what you have been looking for. You know, something in your spirit will tell you that, man. You know, that's the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai. You know, that's what you have been longing for. That's what your spirit has been longing for a long time. But we was without meat. We was without breath. You know, like the book of Ezekiel speaks about. We was without breath, man. You know, so these are the people that ask for biblical facts. These are the people that desire to see proof. They're not in the spirit, man, because they don't have that voice that tells them to walk in this path, man. They don't have that. So yeah, man, without further ado, and again, if something's going wrong with the stream, Akian, please let me know. You know, so without further ado, I'm gonna go into this video, into this breakdown. So we're gonna start off with Daniel chapter 7. This is Daniel chapter 7. Or let me start with Daniel chapter 8. This is Daniel chapter 8, verse 1. In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me, Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass, when I saw that I was at Shushan, in the palace which is in the province of Elam, and I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai. Then I lifted up mine eyes, and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram, which had 2 horns, and the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. Now, it already starts off with this, man. The higher came up last. Medio, this is talking about the Medo-Persian Empire. The Medo-Persian Empire, or the Medo-Persian Empire. Let me see. Which the Medes are the Indonesian people. The Medes are the Japhites, which the Japhites came in rulership first, and the Persians, they joined unto them. That's why it's basically a joint rulership. The Medio or the Medo-Persian Empire. Which began with Darius the Mede. So it says, Daniel chapter 8 verse 3, Then I lifted up mine eyes, and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram, which had 2 horns, which this ram represents the Persian Empire. And remember, Daniel was living during the Babylonian Empire. You know, Daniel was living during the Babylonian Empire. As a matter of fact, let me see. What year did Daniel live? Daniel lived in 538 BC, which is before Christ. He was carried off to Babylon in 605 BC by Nebuchadnezzar. You see, so during the Babylonian Empire, Daniel was on the scene. Daniel was on the scene during the Babylonian Empire. So he did not yet see the Greek Empire. He did not yet see the Persian Empire. The Persian Empire was on the rise, but he did not yet see the fulfillment of this because he was not living in that time. So what we are about to read is going to be proof that The things that he saw and explained and received from the angel are facts, man. This is history. These are facts. And of course now me saying the ram is the Persian Empire, and the goat which is gonna come is the Greek Empire. To certain people that's already a nonsense. Meanwhile, the book itself explains you this. So let me finish verse 3. Then I lifted up my eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had two horns, and the two horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. Why was the one higher than the other? The Persians of the Medo-Persian Empire were the most dominant. They had the bigger army. They was greater, stronger, and the Medes, they weren't like that. They was both big because they had world rulership, world domination, but the Persian Empire were more dominant, you know. Um, so that's basically how the ram looked like. Now, why do I say this is the Persian Empire? If we jump to verse 20, Daniel chapter 8 verse 20, the ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Media and Persia. You see, the Medo-Persian Empire. Let me read that again. The ram which thou sawest having two horns are the kings of Media and Persia. You see, so the explanation of the vision is in the same exact chapter. It's in the same exact chapter. So Daniel received the vision and the explanation of the vision, and then we have the Apocrypha, which shows you what was going on, man. Which shows you the historical proof, which goes hand in hand with the history that basically you learn in school, man. It goes hand in hand with that. That's why they say the Apocrypha is not supposed to be in it, because they snitch on the Apocrypha, be snitching on Esau, man. They don't want to have the Apocrypha in the Bible. That's why it got removed by the Bible Destruction Group, man. And you can look at that. You can look that up. King James, the King James Bible, the 1611, still had it in it. There was a reason for that, because it belongs in it in the first place. So Daniel chapter 8 verse 4, I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward. So what does that represent? The Medo-Persian Empire was fighting in all kinds of directions, man, having taking over that dominance, having that dominance in the known world back then, so that no beast might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand. But he did according to his will and became great. And it's spiritual, because these heathens are being compared to beasts, man. These heathens are being compared to beasts. And what did the prophet Asap compare himself to when he was walking without knowledge, man? He compared himself to a beast, which through the spirit, man, the visions of Daniel of these heathens was beasts, man. The visions of John the Revelator, they were beasts, man. These heathens, 7 heads, 10 horns, a leopard, the bear, animals, because that's really what these heathens are, man. This is Psalm 73 verse 22. So foolish was I and ignorant. So foolish was I and ignorant. I was as a beast before thee. Now let me see if the stream is still good, because on my laptop it shows gone. Still good. Reading it again. Psalm 73 verse 22. So foolish was I and ignorant. I was as a beast before thee. You see? So the prophet Asap, he was ignorant concerning the thing that was going to happen with these wicked. Because if you read verse 1, Psalm 73 verse 1. Truly the Most High is good to Israel, even to such as are of a clean heart. But as for me, my feet were almost gone. My steps had well nigh slipped, for I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. So he was envious, man. He was looking at these heathens. He was looking at these the wicked, and he was like, why are they receiving all these things? Because why was he foolish? Why was he being foolish? Because he said it himself. Why was he was being foolish and ignorant? Why? Because he did not realize what their end was. He did not realize what the Most High was gonna do with them at the end, man. You know, they that live deliciously right now, you know, they have their portion. And in the kingdom, they are gonna be without, and it's gonna be our time. You know, the same thing goes for our people, man. You know, they want to live deliciously now, they're gonna be in torments, man. And in the kingdom, they're gonna be ashamed, like the book of Daniel, chapter 12, verse 3 says, or 12, verse 2. Let me grab that real quick. This is Daniel chapter 12, verse 2. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. You see? So some people is gonna wake up in the kingdom being reincarnated, you know, unto everlasting shame, man. Everlasting contempt. So back to Daniel chapter 8, you know, because I quickly showed you a point that these heathens are being compared to beasts. Daniel chapter 8, verse 5. And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. Now, the Medo-Persian Empire was mainly situated around Iran, Iraq, Syria, a region which is known as Mesopotamia. So this Greek Empire, they came from the west, like it says, verse 5. And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground, and the he-goat, and the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. So what does it represent that he touched not the ground? He came with great force. He came with a great army, a great power, you know, which is their armies, their military might. He touched not the ground. You know, that's what it represents. And he came from the west and had a notable horn between his eyes. Now, this again is being explained in the same exact chapter. But think about it. Daniel was the Greek Empire was not on the scene yet. It was not in power yet. You know? Neither was it shown in the world in the time of the Babylonian Empire, in the time of the life of Daniel. It wasn't known yet that the Medo-Persians were going to take over the Babylonian Empire. It wasn't known yet that the Greek Empire was going to take over the Medo-Persian Empire. But what? Daniel saw it. And it did happen. So that makes it a biblical fact. So what this he-goat represent is also being explained in the same exact chapter. This is Daniel chapter 8 verse 21. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia. And the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Who's the first king of the Greek Empire, man? Alexander the Great. How they call them in the world. Which is Alexander the Greek, or Alexander the Creep, or Alexander the Sodomite. You know, you might as well call him. So it explains you this horn was the first king of Grecia, which is Greece, and the first king being Alexander the Greek. Going on, so it's a historical fact that the Greek Empire took down the Medo-Persian Empire. But Daniel saw it in a vision before it happened. So therefore, this is a book of prophecy. The book of Daniel is a book of prophecy. You know, He was prophesying. He saw the visions, and you know, he got it. Did not understand what it exactly was and who it was gonna be. But we now can look back and see, like, hey, that first king was talking about Alexander the Greek. You know, verse 6, Daniel 8 and 6. And he came to the ram that had two horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran unto him in the fury of his power. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and break his two horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground, and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Because the Medo-Persian Empire, they got destroyed, man. They got utterly destroyed. I believe there was two battles. Let me look it up real quick. There was two battles, of which the main battle was the Battle of Gargamel. Gargamela. Let me see. Yeah, this was the destruction, man. This was the end of the Medo-Persian Empire. Because the Greeks came with a strategy. The Greeks came with a plan how they was circling around them, devouring the military might, and basically putting them in a corner, man. This is a battle of Gargamella. The Battle of Gargamella, also called the Battle of Arbela, was the decisive battle. So I was correct. It was the decisive battle of Alexander the Great, Alexander the Greek, his invasion of the Persian Achaemenid Empire, which is the Medo-Persian Empire, in 331 BC. Alexander's army of the Hellenic League met the Persian army of Darius III near Gargamella, close to the modern city of Dohuk in Iraqi Kurdistan. Like I was explaining, the region that the Medo-Persian Empire was situated was around Iraq, Iran, which is also known as Mesopotamia. Though heavily outnumbered, Alexander emerged victorious due to his army's superior tactics and his deft employment of light infantry. It was a decisive victory for the Hellenic League and led to the fall of the Achaemenid Empire, the Medo-Persian Empire. So this was the decisive battle, man, the Battle of Gargamella. So they came with force, they came with power, they came with strategy. They enclosed the forces with infantry, with cavalry, enclosing them and locking them up and completely devouring them, man. And if I'm correct, they was even chasing Darius the Third. Let me see. Darius the Third. Death. Darius the Third. Anyway, the Medo-Persian Empire brought down by the Greek Empire. Oh yeah, that was a point. The point I was gonna make, this Battle of Gargamella happened in 331 BC. When was Daniel living? When was Daniel on the scene again? 331 BC, remember? When was Daniel on the scene? 538 BC. So this is prophecy, man. This is a biblical fact. This is what Daniel was explaining, man. And if you want proof, this is proof, man. But of course it's gonna go deeper than this, because you know people might say like, yeah, he just guessed that something like that was gonna happen. It's not real facts. This book is facts, man. This book is one completely fact. But certain things just had to come to pass. And for the people that didn't want to listen back then, they got destroyed. For the people that don't want to listen right now to the man of the Lord that are out there in the highways and byways, gonna get destroyed. You know. Um, Verse 7. And I saw him come close unto the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, and smote the ram, and brake his two horns, the Medo-Persian Empire. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him. But he cast him down to the ground, and stamped upon him, and there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up four notable ones toward the four winds of heaven. Now this is also being described in history, man. This is also being described in history. But first, I'm going to show you that the same exact chapter explains what these four notable horns represent, man. Daniel chapter 8, verse 21. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king, Alexander the Greek. Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding and dark sentences shall stand up. These Christians be breaking this down as the Antichrist, but this is simply just Antiochus Epiphanes, man. He's that little horn that is gonna come up out of the midst, because he was pure evil, man. This man was pure evil, man. Pure evil. The things that he did, I'm gonna go into it, man. I'm gonna go into it. Lord's willing, Lord's will, I'm gonna go into it. So first, let me read Daniel chapter 8, verse 8 again. And Salakia, I'm thinking at certain moments, because I want this explanation to go in a chronological way so you can understand it. Daniel chapter 8, verse 8. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken. Yes, so when the Greek Empire was in his strength, in his might, they had devoured up until India. Therefore, that's why you see a lot of Elamites have became very light, because why? These Greeks was raping the shit out of them, man. And now you have this ranking system in India. This how you call that? How you call that again? India system. Yeah. They call it a cabinet system. Let me see how you say it in English. Yeah, like I said, a cabinet system. Which, if you look at the cabinet system of India, you're gonna see that the lower the cabinet rank, let me just call it the rank system of India. The lower you go, the more darker the people is gonna be. That's why you have the Dalit. The Dalit, that's a tribe of India, which a lot of those people are Jake, man. A lot of those people are Israelites. You have the Dalit, and you have the Punjabis. They are darker. They are the darker people of India, and you have a lot of Jakes among them. And there was one guy from India. He came to the camp and he was explaining that back in the days, Israelites came into India, man, and started teaching certain things. So what is he talking about, man? He's talking about the Jews that came from Asia, man. The Jews that lived amongst the regions of Asia that you read about in the book of Acts. Because Jake was living all around the world, man. Just like nowadays, you have Jake that be immigrating, man. Go live in South America. If you're from America, they go live in South America. They go live in the Caribbean islands. Some Jakes go back to West Africa. Try to set up a life there, because why? We really don't have a place, man. But back then that was also happening, and those Jakes just came back 3 times a year to worship in Jerusalem. But you also had Jakes living in Ethiopia. You had Jakes living in Egypt. You know, they just went to live in Egypt, and then the Most High, on top of that, the Most High scattered us, man. So those lower cabinet Israelites, those lower cabinet Elamites, are most likely Israelites, man. But back to my point, the higher you get in the rank system of India, the lighter the people get. Because why? They are Edomites, man. They are rape victims of this Greek empire. So this is Isaiah 11 and 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that Yahweh shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt and from Petros and from Cush, which Petros, Egypt, Assyria. Petros is Greece, Egypt. You know what Egypt is. Cush is Ethiopia, and from Elam, which is India. The Elamite people is India. Persia, Iran, Iraq, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. So you also have Jake amongst those coolies, man. You also have Jake amongst those people in India. But the higher you get in their system, the paler it gets, man. So back to Daniel. So like I was saying, four notable horns came up instead. Now the book of Daniel chapter 7 also goes into that, but doesn't really explain it. You have to use these two books in combination, man. But let me start at 1, man. Daniel chapter 7 verse 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven strove upon the great sea. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. Now what do these beasts represent? The same exact chapter explains you that. Daniel chapter 7 verse 17. Because I remember, man, when I was bringing this out and I said these beasts represent kingdoms, these guys that came to the camp was laughing, man. And I was looking at them like, so why are you laughing? Yeah, that's your interpretation. How can you say that these beasts, represent kingdoms? Well, the book itself explains you this. Verse 17. These great beasts, which are four kings, which shall arise out of the earth. So that's a cut, man. That's sometimes the beauty, man. The beauty of this truth, having this wisdom, knowledge, understanding. Sometimes it's delicious to cut these people, man. It feels good, man. It feels good. The word of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is powerful, man. You know, especially when you use it against these scoffers, man. They get cut through the bone, man. So it says, and four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another, which is kingdoms. The first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. This represents the Assyrian Empire. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given unto it. This is when the Assyrian Empire was translated into the Babylonian Empire. So it went from the Assyrian Empire to the Babylonian Empire. And behold, another beast, the second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had three ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. So this Daniel had not yet seen neither, man. And why is the bear raised up on one side? It's the same as the horn. Daniel 8 and 3. Then I lifted up mine eyes, and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had two horns, and the two horns were high, but one was higher than the other. So just like how the bear is raised up on one side, this horn was bigger than the other horn that was next to it. So this again represents the Medo-Persian Empire. It says, verse 5, and behold, another beast, a second like unto a bear, like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had three ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. Now these three ribs represents the three countries that they took over, man, which are which happened with three battles against Babylon, against Lydia, and Egypt. This is these three battles the Medo-Persian Empire had to go through. So these ribs represent those nations that they devoured, man. The Babylonians, you know, the people in Lydia and Egypt, and they grew up to rulership. In the mouth of it, between the teeth of it, and they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. So basically, Daniel, what he saw was chronologically what was about to happen, what was gonna happen, and it did happen. We can go into the history and see that this happened, man. You know, the only thing you have to do is read down, see that it's talking about the Babylonian Empire, that it's talking about the Persian Empire, which it explains itself, and then just go into the history and see, like, okay, wait, so if this bear represents the Persian Empire, and he had three ribs in his mouth, let me see if, what battles they had. You're gonna see three major battles, man, with the Babylonian Empire, Lydia, and Persia, man. So history basically approves the Bible, man. Approves these prophecies that are written in it. If you need proof, there you go. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. And after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it four wings of a fowl. The beast had also four heads, and dominion was given unto it. Now, what do these four heads represent again? You know, this is the Greek Empire, man. Daniel chapter 8, verse 8. Therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, Alexander the Greek. And for it came up four notable ones towards the four winds of heaven, which represents what? The kingdom being divided into four. And this is also something that you can just easily look up, man. This is also something you can just easily look up, but we're gonna look it up in the Apocrypha, where it just describes the historical accounts of the Greek Empire. You know, so let me read Daniel 7 and 6 again. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had up upon the back of it four wings of a fowl, The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given unto it. So that's the domain of the Greek Empire, man. Now let's go to it. Let me grab my other apocrypha, where the precepts is written down. So let me start at let me just start at 1, man. This is First Maccabees chapter 1 verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shittim, had smitten Darius king of the Persians and Medes. Didn't we just read that? Didn't we just read that Alexander the Greek, he chased after Darius the third, which was king of the Medo-Persian Empire, the Medes and the Persians? We just read that. I just read it on Wikipedia, man. You can look this up for yourself if you want proof. But the Bible explains it in a vision and in history, man, in the book of Maccabees. So it says, Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece. Didn't we just read that? So now we know who the first king of Greece was. Let me read this again. First Maccabees chapter 1 verse 1. And it happened after that Alexander son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Shittim, had smitten Darius king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead, the first over Greece. Daniel 8 and 21. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia. The great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. There you go. And if you go on Wikipedia, type in first king of Greece. Let me just do it, man. Who's the first king of Greece? First king of Greece, Alexander the Great. And people would like to say Philip II, which was his father, but he was not in the type of rulership as he was in. His son was the one that took the power. His son was the one that stepped upon the throne and took all the dominion. So he is considered the official first king of Greece, like the apocrypha says. First Maccabees chapter 1 verse 2. And made many wars, and won many strongholds, and slew the kings of the earth, and went through the ends of the earth, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him. He had world domination, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. He became proud. So the earth was quiet before him. Did not the scripture just explain that Daniel chapter 8 verse 8, therefore the he-goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken. So now it's going to explain you that in the time that they had world domination, the earth was quiet before the Greek Empire. Guess what happened? Whereupon he was exalted, and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him. Whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up, and he gathered a mighty strong host, and ruled over countries and nations and kings, who became tributaries unto him. And with that they are still doing that today, man. Tributary means that you have to pay, as a nation, you have to pay unto this race. But nowadays and normally you don't let your own people be tributaries. You let the other nations, the other races around you be tributaries. But Esau's so wicked. If he can take money from his own people, he will also do that, man. And what is that tributary nowadays? Tax money. You gotta pay a tax, boy. Make sure you pay a tax. Verse 5. And after these things he fell sick. Alexander the Greek fell sick. And after these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them, while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years, and then died. And his servants bare rule, every one in his place. And after his death they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years. And evils were multiplied upon the earth. So as soon as these Edomites came into rulership, because you don't have to lie about this, man. And this is the reason that Esau doesn't want the Apocrypha to be brought out, man. Because the Apocrypha shows you who the devil is, man. The Apocrypha shows you that when these devils came into rulership, when these Edomites came into rulership, evils were multiplied upon the earth, man. Multiplied. And this shows you that those generals, those that one horn that became four, were the progenitors. In the Greek, they say diadochi, the diadochi of Alexander the Greek, which were in the ancient times, the diadochi represented successors. The successors of Alexander the Greek were his generals, man, his main generals. And you can look this up also. So it says, and evils were multiplied in the earth, and there came out of them a wicked root. Yeah, so it's gonna continue on. So the one horn was broken, which is who? Alexander the Greek. And instead came four notable horns. Now those notable horns represent who? You had Cassander, Lysimachus, Seleucid, and Ptolemy. But before Seleucid was able to to take a full domination, you had Antigonus. Now Antigonus, he is not one of the four horns because he got taken down, but he, without have been appointed, took a part of the kingdom. So Seleucid, being the main aggressor in this war, he told Cassander, and he told Lysimachus, and he told Ptolemy. They basically teamed up together to fight against Antigonus, because Antigonus had the northern part of Greece, and he had the biggest part. So Seleucid brought him down with the help of Cassander and Lysimachus, and then those two generals became tributaries to Seleucid. And then you had Ptolemy having the southern kingdom of Greece, which was Egypt. You see, so what the scripture explains you, the vision of Daniel explained that it was gonna be divided. Daniel 8:8. Therefore the he goat waxed very great, and when he was strong, the great horn was broken, and for it came up four notable ones toward the four winds of heaven. They got divided. You see, First Maccabees 1:8. And his servants bare rule, every one in his place. And after his death they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied on the earth. And like the Bible explains, the power was not like in the beginning when Alexander the Greek was in rulership. The power went down. It lessened. Because why? These Greek empires, the Ptolemaic Empire, the Seleucid Empire, Cassander and Lysimachus, they was fighting against each other. Now Yahushua spoke about a nation fighting against each other, man. Guess what happens? What happens to a nation that fights against itself? This is Matthew chapter 12, verse 25. And Yahushua knew their thoughts, and said unto them, every kingdom divided against itself is brought to desolation, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. You see? So when these four generals came up in the stead of Alexander the Greek, the Greek Empire lost its power, man. They became weaker, like it explains in the vision of Daniel, Daniel chapter 8, verse 22. Now that being broken, let me start at 21. And the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, four kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. You see, it was not risen in the power as it used to be in, man, because they fought against themselves. And this is also historical facts, man, that you can just easily look up, man. Um, Going back to Daniel chapter 7, it's like a Daniel chapter 8, verse 9. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which this little horn represents Antiochus Epiphanes. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great towards the south. What was the southern part of Greece? The Ptolemaic region, you know. And Antiochus Epiphanes was of the Seleucid Empire, which was the northern part, which got their tributaries from the Seleucid and the Empire of Cassander. And out of one of them came forth a little horn, which waxed exceeding great towards the south, and towards the east, and towards the pleasant land. What's the pleasant land? The pleasant land is Israel. Now he was the guy that invaded Israel, man. He was the first to invade Israel, in the way that he did. Antiochus Epiphanes. And it waxed great, even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host and the stars to the ground, and stamped upon them. Which the stars, those stars represents the elders of Israel, man, the rulers of Israel. The high priests that were on the top back then, and that's the beginning of the book of First Maccabees, man. And when you read through the book of First Maccabees, you're gonna see what was going on. You had a lot of sellouts, which I can also read right here. You had a lot of sellouts, but the heads of Israel, they were broken down, man. They got killed, they got assassinated. Our own people snitched up on them until Judas Maccabeus rose, man, whose father is Mattathias. And with them, Israel got great victory. The Levites. This is First Maccabees chapter 10, chapter 1, verse 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, which is this little horn, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, Let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So, because Antiochus came in, and sorrows and evils were multiplied because of this wicked Greek Empire, which is the Edomite Empire, really the beginning of the Edomite rulership. Jake was feeling miserable. And instead of turning to Yahweh Shem Yahushai and asking for help, these people turned to the enemy, man. Therefore, nowadays, you still have a lot of sellouts, man, amongst our people. Which make you sick, man. Which make you sick. They trust in this society. They trust upon Esau. They lean upon Esau, man. Esau is their God. And that spirit reflects upon our females, man. I can say women, but really they ain't no women nowadays, because what's a woman? A woman is a female servant, which our women are not female servants nowadays, man. So I'm gonna call them females. It reflects upon our females. How? They straightening their hair. They are making their hair blonde. They want to be like the so-called white woman. You see? That's how much our people are destroyed, man. And guess what? They are leaning upon this kingdom, man. This is Isaiah chapter 31, verse 1. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, and stay on horses, and trust in chariots, because they are many, and in horsemen, because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek Yahweh. So the spirit is still out there, man, of our people trusting in the wickedness, trusting in the society, trusting in the armies, the power, the might of this wicked society, man, and not look upon the Holy One. So back then you had guys like this too. Now, why was this little horn called the root of evil? This is First Maccabees chapter 1, and there's many points, that you can bring out in the book of Maccabees, that show you that this was a fucking devil, man. Antiochus Epiphanes was a damn devil, man. This is First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, a new world order, and one world religion, and every one should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and to the city and cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifices and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days. You see, so this Greek king Antiochus Epiphanes, he was different than Ptolemy. He was different than Seleucid. They didn't turn to the Holy Land like how he did. Now that's also prophet. That's also in the vision of Daniel, man. This guy, he went into the sanctuary. He went into the Holy Land, the pleasant land, like Daniel describes it. You know, and he set up laws. He forbid us to keep the Sabbath, man. He forbid us even to keep the Sabbath. And forbid burnt offerings, verse 45. And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifices and drink offerings in the temple. And that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days. And pollute the sanctuary and holy people. Set up altars and groves and chapels and of idols. And sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised. Now it says Antiochus Epiphanes, he set up chapels of idols. Now if I look up the word chapel, you're gonna be amazed, man. Chapel, meaning a chapel. What's the meaning of a chapel? So it says chapel of idols, right? The word chapel, a small building or room used for Christian worship in a school, prison, hospital, or large private house. So a chapel of idols is really a Christian church, man. It's really a Christian church, and that's what these Grecians, these Edomites came to bring, idol worship. So that's what they set up in Israel. Verse 48, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised. Now here comes my point. Our people were not allowed to circumcise the children. So it says that they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end that they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. Now, there was beautiful women back then still amongst the nation of Israel that did very honorable acts, man. Because why? The man back then were in order. The man back then, they had dignity, they had strength. They was walking in the ways of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. So what did these women do? Let me see. This is First Maccabees chapter 1 verse 58. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities. Now the 25th day of the month they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of the Most High. So they made an idol altar, by the commandment of the king, of course, upon the altar of the Most High, where they sacrificed swine's flesh. At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised, and they hanged the infants about their necks, and rifled their houses, and slew them that had circumcised them. And you know what comes before killing, man? Before murdering. You know what these Edomites be doing, man? They probably rape the children too, man. Rape the children, rape the women. The daughters of our people got rifled, man. They got ravished, brutally raped. You know, like it says in the book of Lamentation. This is what these heathens did to our people, man. You know, and this is just biblical facts, man. Lamentations chapter 5 verse 11. They ravished the women in Zion and the maids in the city of Judah. You know, which back then they were still maids. Back then they were still women, man. Because why? Even though the king said, if you circumcise your son, you will be put to death. And still the women circumcised the son secretly. But they found out, because why? You had fucking Sambo ass niggas around us, man. You had Sambo ass niggas that they would look and they would see and they would find out by hearing and people snitching on you that you circumcised your son, man. They would rape the women and children, and they hanged the children up around, about their necks, man. They hanged the children up about their necks, you know, and killed the females, killed the women, you know. And Esau shows you the invasion of Israel, man. They show you this, man. They have something called the Ark of Titus, which this goes fast forward into the Roman Empire, which the book of Daniel also talks about, man. You know, the Roman Empire, which was like iron, which had an even stronger army. You know, and they show you in their history that they did these things, man. That they went into the sanctuary, that they went into Israel. They have movies. If you watch this movie Alexander movie, you also they also show you that he was a sodomite, man. Yeah, the movie is called Alexander from 2004. You know, I advise you brothers to watch it. You know, if you want to get more understanding, you know, on this level, or want to have a visual of what the book of Daniel is actually prophesying that was going to happen. You know, you're going to see what was going on and how this Greek empire took rulership over the earth, man. You know, so this is what it is, man. If you want biblical facts, man, we can go into prophecies, bring it out, man. But we really, as man of the Lord, man, we walk by faith. We walk by faith, man. We have faith in Yahweh Shem Yahushai. That's why the scripture says, ye are prisoners of hope. You know, we don't need all this, but we you know, we pray to Yahweh Shem Yahushai. We get the full understanding of the scriptures and see all these things and know all these things and bring it out to the edification of the people, man. You know. So with that, I want to give all praises, glory, and the highest honor to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, Ba'ashem Kakadosh. Shalom to the elect out there that's pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. You know, stay strong. Keep praying, man. Pray without ceasing, like the scripture says. You know, and keep studying, man. Like the scripture says, examine thyself daily and prove yourselves, man. Prove yourselves to be worthy. You know, and if you are busy examining yourself, you can eventually prove yourself, man, that you are an acceptable man in the sight of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Bring out these videos, man. Bring out this edification and stay strong, man. Don't let these demons take hold of you. Don't let these demons of doubt, come into your mind, man. Laugh at these calamities, man. For real, man. Try to laugh at these calamities. Just laugh it off, man. When Satan be jumping upon people around you, give them soft answers, man. Just give them soft answers. I did this thing today, man. Damn demon be jumping upon a person. I just give soft answers like, oh, really? Oh, are you feeling bad, man? You want to talk about it? It looks like you're stressed, man. Looks like you're stressed. Hey, what's going on? You want to talk about it? We can talk about it. Yeah, this and this and that. Boom. You appease wrath by giving soft answers. And in your mind, you're just laughing, man. You're just laughing like, man, Satan ain't got no power over me, man. If the Most High is with us, who can be against us, man? So yeah, man, with that, I'm gonna say, call Allah, Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, Bashim Rukaku Dash, Shalom to the elect.